Good day, and welcome to Mental Health and You. I'm your host, Cynthia Timms. So how you feeling? How you doing? The world has changed so much, and some may say not for the best. But you know, music and the musician and artist has always responded, I should say, has always answered the call in such times as these. My guest today, we're going to talk about that. I want to introduce Miss Paula Ralph-Birkett, poet, singer, playwright. I wanted to get this right, girl.
You got it, girl. You got it. You got it.
Oh my God, she is award-winning, all of that, poet, singer, playwright. She just completed a Black American Working Woman at the Episcopal Theater Guild in Manhattan, New York, in July.
Yep.
And it was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, so we're going to talk about that response of artists, that response, your experience. But you're also familiar with this guy to your right. To your right.
Let's talk about it.
Tyrone Birkett, y'all. Tyrone Birkett, welcome to Mental Health and You.
Glad
Saxophonist,
to be here.
The musical director of Tyrone Birkett, Emancipation. So you've been doing this a long time, Tyrone.
Yes, very long time.
You are the, I want to get this right, the New York State Council on the Arts 25 recipient.
Yes.
To Azusa, for Azusa.
Right, Azusa Revisited Project.
Okay, so without further ado, we're going to show some of that, and then we're going to come back and talk to these artists about hope, resistance, and the artists in these particular times. So guys, y'all can run it. Bronxnet.
You got to clap your hands. You got to clap your hands. You got to clap your hands. We need 1 minute to just kind of change the atmosphere. Yes. You got me there?
Azusa Street Revival, a spiritual awakening expressed through African culture, with little regard for the patriarchy, segregation, and greed of its time. Women were leaders, all were welcome. They transcended to another world of compassion, charity, and healing. The power came in the and through those shamed by society, the miracles were seen by all. The love was there for all to see.
You got me there?
And they came from near and far, every hue and every race, black and white, hand in hand. People said, how so bizarre? Segregation was a law, but they came for what they saw. Miracles
Wow, y'all. I want to thank these two and your band, your wonderful band, for that. You know,
Thank
it
you.
goes back to what we were. I was trying to articulate in this introduction to this show about how music and how the art and artists in general have to answer, how we have always answered to certain things.
Yeah.
Right.
And it seems to me just by listening to that, it's an answer to a lot that we need today.
Right.
So Tyrone, I want to start with you. What's going on there? First, explain the time. First, I know what's going on there.
No, there's a lot going on there, though. It is.
I
There's a
should
lot going
assume,
on.
but we're having a moment. Zuna,
Azusa.
what is that? Why is that? What is that?
Azusa was a revival because the basis of this project is the Black church, and Azusa was a revival. It was a movement, a spiritual movement, static spiritual movement in 1906 in Los Angeles. And it was led by a black man, William Seymour.
Okay.
And usually, if you look at it from a black church perspective, particularly from the Pentecostal church, and we're in the Bronx, so we have those churches all over. We're just talking about the Bronx alone. It spread from Los Angeles all over the world. In its inception, it was about love and power. That was the main theme. And so with that, that really encompassed a lot of different issues that were going on at the time. Segregation, income inequality, sexism. And this movement, just by doing what they believed in, they had a response to what was going on at that day. So you would have, we see in our churches, or we may see on YouTube, and we see, people having ecstatic spiritual experiences and they're shouting. Now, back in those days, that it was segregation, and white people and black people are not supposed to be that close with each other. And what happened is that black men and white women were worshiping together, and they were very close together. And when when they made their particular movements in their static worship, then they really got close. They were too close to the black people. So that was looking at the racism issue. Also, when you had segregation, you also had income inequality.
Yes.
And this movement spoke about everyone having whatever it is that they needed. Everyone, if you need this, we'll get it for you. If you're lacking this, we get it. No one should have more money than they can really have any need for, and then someone on the side would be hungry or poor. And when we get into the issue of sexism, it was 12 major leaders in this movement, and at any particular time between 1906 and 1915, at least 5 to 7 of those leaders were women. So in terms of the hierarchy between men and women, and what women should do and how they should lead and who should lead, no one cared about it, because all they cared about was the community, and the community of compassion and charity and love, and to make sure that everyone lived the most abundant life and the most freest life that they can live. In terms of the economy at that time, what happens that was really when the Industrial Revolution started kicking in the early 1900s. And what happened is that they were similar today. There were church officials and church denominations that thought that their religion was tied up with capitalism and income. They were like, if we have capitalism in place, that will help to save the country. These people felt different. They said that if we have love and power and strength in our community, this is what will give the best health to our country.
Love, strength, and what?
Power.
Power. Wow.
Spiritual power and economic power.
Economic. It seems to me that we're still dealing with some of those issues today, Ms. Paula, as we talk.
Yes. Yes.
Seeing you there as a woman.
It's very interesting. They say that if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it.
Yes.
And there's so much history that has not been told. In Azusa, to be able to take the lead to tell that story, because you hear the story in the music, but the lyrics actually tell the story. That's a huge responsibility. It's important for me that people get what the words mean. And so, being able to sing with Emancipation, Tyrone Birkett, my husband, but it takes it to another level, takes the love and power to another level. So I'm very grateful to be on it.
One moment, we're going to ask you to go over there and have some power of your own over there in about another minute or so.
Okay.
But getting back to the artist, this role as artist, as we talked about earlier before the show, artists has always played this role. Those of us who grew up in the church have always played this role. We hear it in the call and the response.
Exactly.
I grew up in the Methodist church, and I always remember the call and the response
Right.
with the music, the people tapping their feet, clapping their hands.
Right.
Yes, as we talked about, we may have caught hell throughout the course of the week, but when we came
That's
into
right.
those doors,
That's right.
we were mother this and sister that.
Exactly.
We were the
Right.
elders.
Right.
We were, the mothers of the church. We were the fathers. We were the deacons. There was a dignity that the world wasn't giving us on the outside.
That's right.
So we had to create our own, within our own spaces and places, which also gets back to the music, the spoken word, So as we talk about the spoken word,
Yes.
we're going to have you in a few seconds go over there and
Great. I'd love to.
create some, give us some spoken word.
Yeah.
What's on your head? What's on your mind? Yes, as you were saying, Mr.
I was going to say, just to preface it, that the spoken word, it's funny, these pieces that were written like 5-7 years ago, we
Yes.
didn't realize how important they'd be now.
You can go over there. As
Okay,
you
I'm gonna
talk.
do it.
We're
I'm gonna do
talking. Yes, I'm good listening to you.
I think it's important that we understand that we are all artists, and so this piece is actually a reminder of how much each person is an artist, and I want them to know what time it is. I think it's important for people to know how important art is, and that each and every one of us is an artist, right? So I wrote this piece called Now is the Time, and I want people to know how important it is. Actually, do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? I'm not talking about an hour or a season or a time of day, although those measures do come into play. There is an era, an age, a rhythm of breath that is most opportune but slips away in the hurriedness, in the bleeding and brokenness of living. And I'm afraid, in my waiting for her to arrive, our connection may not have stood the test of. Do you know what time it is? I've been expecting her. Because she and I, we were close. Like Wonder Twins, she thought a thing and I told it. She saw a thing and I spoke it. Like double Dutch partners, we'd dance to the rhythm of the ropes until we found the moment to jump right in, skip in and hop in and crisscrossing ambitions. With one mind, we were so in tune, we were so in. Do you know what time it is? Maybe I'll call her again. Yeah. Maybe I'll call her again. Maybe she won't say, oh, I'll start one day. One day when the bills aren't pouring. One day when debt clouds aren't forming. One day when there's nothing but blue skies. Then I promise I'll try. But she rarely feels the pull, the pace of the moment anymore, and so she doesn't dive in. Because for her, comfort is king. Comfort, such a deceitful ruler, deploying her to war against trouble as if it were the enemy. Instead of teaching trouble builds muscle to create from its opportunity comfort. Her master, her overseer, is working her blind. She can't see that she's running out of. Do you know what time it is? it's getting late. But I'll wait. I'll wait for her because she believed in me. Her biggest, her brightest, her best aspiration. I am her dream, requiring no interpretation. Her dream, shifting her imagination. She gonna need me. She gonna need me to get through this tsunami of trouble coming into view. Ignoring the roar and the blast of the coming wave, she won't admit with all her work, she still doesn't feel safe. Still hasn't done what her soul craves. But I know, and I give her a choice. Roll in the raging, changing tide and answer my voice when I declare now is the time. Now is the time to fix your community's fractured frame. Now is the time to build from failing financial gain. Now is the time to be the servant the public so desperately needs. Now is the time to be the key opening someone else's possibility. Now is the time to invest in yourself. Believe in yourself, love yourself, be yourself, see yourself as the queen you are. Who knows but for this specific time you were made? Not to live life through fear, but brilliantly through faith. So that when the flood waters come, and they gon' come, you can rise and declare now is the time.
Thank you. Welcome back to Mental Health and You. I want to thank Ms. Paula for that. Now is the time.
Thank you.
Why is now is the time?
It's very interesting. You know, when I wrote it, I really wrote it to encourage myself, right? Because I was like, oh, wasn't happy with my life. I was like, just waiting to move on things that I knew I needed to move on. And I initially wrote it in 2017. And like I was saying earlier, as an artist, my mother always said, I didn't say this earlier, but my mother always said, the artist is 10 years ahead of the actual society. So what we're seeing now is the imagination of someone 10 years ago. What an opportunity we have as artists to create the thing we want to see. So I wrote now is the time to encourage people, if you want to see something different, now is the time to create it, because we'll see it in 5 to 10 years.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's so true. And it means so much.
Yeah.
I think what you just said, that now is the time. Yes, we can sit in despair for a little while. We can cry for a little while.
We
it's
have
all
to.
part
It's
of the
part of it.
process.
That's right.
But now is the time. Toni Morrison said something about that, about now being the time. That this is sort of, I'm paraphrasing, this is sort of the time. This is the time to sing. This is the time to play your music. This is the time to write your poetry. This is the time to just work on that project as an artist, because the world needs us. Artists is always led the way, you know? So I would be remiss if we didn't end this. Well, talk about those musicians and who are their names?
Okay, on piano, that was John Thomas. On guitar, Marcos Robinson.
Okay.
On drums, Camille Gaynor-Jones. On bass, Reggie Young. Okay. And they're all musicians that I've been playing with for a number of years. I can't even remember most of the origin stories, but at least 10 years. Well, Marcos is new, he's young.
Okay.
So we're the veterans, so Marcos is new. But they're all great musicians. What I like is that being that we do jazz and we do gospel and a little classical stuff here and there in the music in general, that they're all experts in their particular field. Like Reggie is the bass. Bass is extraordinary. He played with if you know gospel, you heard him or seen him. John Thomas, Juilliard graduate, master of music. He's also played with everybody. He's been all over the world. Camille Gaynor-Jones, same thing. I grab her off tour, So all the musicians are very accomplished, and they know what they're doing. They're experts in jazz and in gospel. So that way we're able to give the message of Azusa out, because it's part love and part power. So we have musicians that can do both. As you saw, a very powerful performance, but in it you can feel the love that is coming through them in terms of through the camera, in terms of getting that message to the listener.
Getting that message, Miss Paula, what would you tell that person, that artist? How do you start to get your message? Yes, we know that you're maybe feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
But you talked about having to like boost ourselves up. For me, the arts is medicine. I
Yes.
cannot even imagine a world without the arts. I think I came in this world with a pen and paper in my hand.
Right.
You know, when I'm feeling a certain way, above everything, I believe I'm a writer. I write a poem. I write short stories, and it seems to me that we need that. So I ask you, what would you tell that artist that you know, who's feeling a certain way, particularly in these times?
Yeah. I started writing this my work from an idea of how you perceive yourself as how you will be yourself,
Yes.
right? So my concept is perception to decisions. If we can perceive ourselves as above and not beneath, right? If we can perceive ourselves as powerful and not powerless, every little teeny tiny step that you make towards expressing yourself in the art will empower you to do that, will empower you to be that, right? So that's why the arts are so important. I mean, the arts are so important because you can do it for yourself, and when you're generous with it, you light other people's fire. So if you can perceive yourself as being powerful, even if it's just for you, even if it's just for your kids, even if it's just to keep your mind sane, you have to write to keep your mind sane. Understand that when you speak, you're speaking not just for your situation, but you could actually be helping someone else. And what I found is sometimes it's difficult for me to help myself. As a woman, you know, I love to help everybody else. I'm gonna help. So when I write, I said, okay, I'm writing this for my sister. But when I read it back, I realize I'm really helping myself. So it's really like a whole circle,
Indeed.
right?
Yes.
It's a whole circle. So if you want to be selfish, and sometimes we have to be selfish and say, listen, I'm gonna write this for myself, but I'm gonna go out and give it. Someone else is going to be helped. But if you want to be giving, okay, I'm going to write this for my sister. But you go out and give it and you realize you're nourished. That's what the arts gives. It nourishes the soul. And
How can people get nourished? How can people prefer to get nourished? How can they find y'all guys? Social media,
You go
next
first.
performance. How can they find y'all?
Instagram is a good place. That's at New Freedom Songs on Instagram. Website newfreedomsongs.com.
newfreedomsongs.com. Okay.
And Instagram as well. It's Paula, PaularAlphabirkett, Paula Ralph-Birkett. I'm always singing, like my husband says, you always got a song. Yeah, no, it's Paula Ralph-Birkett. You can find me at paularalphbirkett.com or singpaula.com.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you guys again for being part of this
Thank you.
ongoing
Thank you.
experience
Thank
in
you for
mental
having
health in
us.
you. As we said, we talk about hope, resistance, and the artist. We all got a song to sing. We all got a play to write. We all got a song in our heart of words. I want to thank Bronxnet for being part of this. Now go write that song, you know, and go do what you need to do in order to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Music has always, the arts has always been in our lives and will continue to be in more ways than one. As Gordon Parks said, is my weapon of choice with photography. He said that. What is your weapon of choice? It's the arts. It's the music. It's so much. It is so much, and it's life changing.